First comment has to be semantic. Manipulation is part of a free market. And anybody who doesn't believe that manipulation is part of a free market is mistaken. Prohibitions against manipulation are unfree. I'm not defending manipulation. I believe that all markets in the near term are manipulated. If a market as large as the LIBOR market or the U.S. Treasury market can be manipulated, and it's been proven that they have been, obviously markets that are as constrained as the silver market are much more easy to manipulate. I am not a believer that there has been a 10-year or 20-year or 30-year effort to manipulate precious metals market prices lower. That was happening all by itself. We had a 40-year decline in inflationary expectations from 1982 to 2022, simultaneously with a 40-year period of increasing strength in the U.S. dollar and declining interest rates. Why would someone strive mightily to knock down the price of precious metals when the markets were doing it for them? That doesn't make any sense to me. But manipulation by trading desks takes place all the time. And imagine the opportunity for mischief as an example in the silver market, where the futures markets trade between 1 and 200 times per day the amount of silver available for good delivery to cover. Imagine, if you will, the mischief that could be caused by a desk looking at the long futures markets in silver, establishing a leveraged short position, and then engaging in an aggressive selling campaign in the spot market to lower the perception around the future. Imagine what you could do, and of course I'm making this up, Donegan, if you had a $2 billion short position out over 2 or 3 years in the futures market, and then you borrowed in the very short term and flooded the market with $60 or $70 million worth of silver overnight when the markets were their most illiquid. If you could lower the spot price of silver by 3% or 4% or 5%, it is not unlikely that you could lower the futures price by a like or greater amount. And if you're using 10 or 12% margin in the futures market, help yourself to a 50 or 60% gain. That type of manipulation, that type of arbitrage between stock to float and between long and short-term markets occurs all the time. And to believe that it wouldn't occur in the precious metals market is naive. I myself remember when there was aggressive manipulation in the physical gold and silver market to the upside during the decade of the 1970s, using the same shenanigans. Understand that the manipulators are traders. They don't care about the direction of a market. They care about the dimension of the move and whether or not they can cause it to occur. So yes, gold and silver markets have been manipulated from time to time to the downside for the last 40 years because it's been an easy thing to do. And my suspicion is that 2 or 3 years from now, they'll be manipulated continuously to the upside because that's the easy thing to do. There are bullion banks that retain bullion for their own accounts or bullion to satisfy trading desks. And very often those banks do hedge their silver exposure, either long or short, depending on the position of the underlying bank in the market. That's the, if you will, legitimate use for derivatives. The off-market trading activities that the bullion banks engage in, which is to say, selling silver, as an example, to industrial users and fabricators, or selling silver to investors, is an important part of the trading and commodities desk business of some physical banks. And that's a legitimate use, in fact, for derivatives. Increasingly, what you're seeing, however, is that the non-bank bullion desks are becoming increasingly important, an increasingly important part of the silver business, whether those be ETFs like SLV or special purpose trading vehicles like the Sprott Physical Silver Trust, or the non-bank commodity traders, the Glencores of the world. Those are important actors in the silver space. The use of futures markets is important to every facet of the silver trade, be it fabricators who need silver as an example for its reflective properties to make solar panels. The only way that those solar panel fabricators can have some sense of what it will cost them to produce a solar panel has to do with using the futures market to lock in the supply, at least of some of their silver. Simultaneously, silver miners often want some certainty in terms of revenue, as would, frankly, bankers who finance silver miners into production. At every aspect of the silver trade, there are legitimate uses for the silver futures markets. And I think that speculation, too, is an entirely defensible use. It's the speculator who provides the liquidity that allows a market to establish a reference point between other buyers and sellers who otherwise would be victimized by an extraordinarily illiquid market.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dahn, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dahn.